Hello, all you people out there in YouTube land. I'm some loudmouth on the internet with an opinion. This is my friend Darkon. Say hello.
Hi, and also hello to our NSA agents spying on us.
Yes, exactly. And we saw the new Alex Garland directed movie Warfare, and also directed by Ray Mend. Was his name Mendoza? Mendoza, yeah, Ray
Yeah, Ray
Mendoza,
Mendoza.
who was a Iraq War veteran. And what's it about? The Iraq War.
Specifically, one small little skirmish that happened within the Iraq War. So it's not like this is like some big epic drama in the same way of even Black Hawk Down or let alone Hacksaw Ridge or something like that.
Right, but I actually really like this movie, and it actually might be my favorite movie of the year so far. Actually, I haven't seen Sinners yet, so don't come at me. I'll be seeing that soon. We should review Sinners next for one of these, but
Maybe.
I thought this movie was incredibly gritty and realistic, and that's what I really liked about it. Really, I would say this movie really captured just kind of the day to day feeling being a military vet better than almost any other movie, because it doesn't, because the main thing I loved about it is that it doesn't have like a grand scale. The all the politics and the big geopolitical maneuvering that led to the Iraq War. This movie doesn't focus on that at all. It basically just is one day in the life of soldiers during a time when there was a bit of a shit show where they got some enemy fire.
Yep. And so far, it's my favorite movie of the year so far. I haven't seen Dogman, although obviously that would not be able to surpass this movie. But of all the movies I've seen, have been the Looney Tunes movie, the Minecraft movie, and this one, Warfare. Outdoes them all by a long shot. It's at least probably a 9 out of 10 movie in my personal ranking, mostly because of the realism of it all. And probably like the only reason why I don't give it a solid 10 out of 10 is because it doesn't have the full package of what I would typically like out of a war movie, in the same way that I like Hacksaw Ridge, like I kind of mentioned a little bit earlier. But yeah, I like of how that there was a new and kind of fresh take with this movie. It wasn't focusing so much on the background melodramas of, say, like The Hurt Locker, for example. It was just focusing in on the lead up for one of this one skirmish of where that all the buddies are just casually just watching this sexy yoga video to kind of show the bare bones minimalist technology that soldiers overseas are able to get their hands onto, especially when they're out in the field, I guess. Of how that they are able to have fun right before leading up to a big conflict. And then, of course, they get kind of in the midst of it all. And during the quiet moments, they have their few moments of funny banter and so forth. Like the one guy goes spitting water back in the water bottle, then like gives it to his battle buddy right there. And I was all like, "You prick!" But I think that was the
Yeah,
point of it.
I kind of was like, that was a kind of a dick move. I mean, I know they weren't really all that limited on water, but that's still kind of disgusting.
I think he was just looking to fuck with them more than anything, not necessarily trying to preserve water for each other.
I
But
mean, imagine if this were the Dune universe and somebody did that. I'm sure in the Fremen culture you would have gotten the death penalty for that.
what, for spitting water back in a water bottle to let
Yeah, for
someone else
wasting
drink
water.
instead?
That's a serious violation.
Well, not if the other person is going to drink it back up after you spewed it out.
Yeah, it's still gross.
It's still gross, yeah, but I don't necessarily think that's a hard waste, though, as long as it ain't just getting dumped on the ground, anyways. But
Yeah, but the movie kind of has a very slow pace in the first half, and where not a lot happens, which again is very realistic, because I'm sure most of these guys living on the front lines, well, I'm sure most of the things they say to each other aren't really all that deep and meaningful, and sounds like it was written by a Hollywood screenwriter. Most of the time, they're just talking shit to each other, making perverted jokes. Just kind of that just kind of seems how it is. And I've seen I've watched a few reviews from Iraq War veterans of this movie, and they all say, yeah, that's how it was.
Yeah, and not to mention of how that they were kind of scraping the bottom of the barrel to say anything to each other because back then, this is like mid 2000s, barely anybody had a smartphone. The most that they would have had was a flip phone for one. And I guess they wouldn't be allowed to have those mobile
No, they
devices anyways
no
because
no
they
no,
would be
you
able
would
to track
not.
them down.
In fact, in the war in Ukraine, a few people have gotten their units killed because they were bringing the smartphones with them to the front lines, and they were able to be tracked. So no, you would not be able to use a smartphone on the battle lines if this happened today. No.
Yeah. I wonder if it makes that much of a difference, if at all, if they just completely turn off the Wi-Fi function on it and just use it as basically an overglorified Game Boy controller. Just curious about that much, but
And
maybe they couldn't.
I think if you turned, I think you could if like you turned off. You can turn off the tracking ability on those, where it would basically lose its function as a phone or connecting to the internet or making calls, but you could use it for any offline functions, and it wouldn't be able to be tracked then. But
Right.
but even that's not recommended.
Yeah, probably not, but at least it would have been some workaround. That is, if they had them as available back then. But hey, like I said, it's the mid 2000s. I think that
Yeah,
a couple of the more intense scenes, like actually the IED and the IED recovery part of the whole movie, was probably the most intense part of the movie for me. When everybody was just waking up very slowly, like they weren't just bouncing back up like a couple of jackalopes, like if they were in a Marvel movie or something. They got, like if they were in a Marvel movie, they'd be knocked down just for a mere 30 seconds, 5 seconds, or something like that, and be right back up, unless if they were really solidly dead. But no, these guys, it takes a lot to recover from a close explosion
yeah,
like
yeah. In the
that.
real
You kind of
world,
think,
you don't
like,
just bounce back from shit like that. It hurts you. It can fuck you up.
even if you weren't injured as much as the two guys that lost their legs, pretty much. Oh,
Yeah,
spoilers, by the way, y'all.
but that's tough to watch because and I like how it spends a long time with the guy screaming in pain. It doesn't just most other movies would kind of spare the audience that you hear him screaming in pain for like a minute, and then it would cut away to like another room where people are talking, having a sober conversation. Nope, not this movie. It just continues to hear this guy wail in agony for
Yeah.
several minutes going on, and that really helps you really get the feeling that this is for real. This all really happened.
Yeah, it was so anxiety driving. And what was also kind of anxiety driving was of how claustrophobic it was when they had to like shimmy and work around to get the two guys into the APCs, or Bradleys, I guess is what they actually were. The two injured guys. And it took like four people to get one of them in, who was the more injured one, on the gurney, and then there was like the other guy who was still injured, but only took two guys. But either way, it would have still been like a very claustrophobic and uncomfortable situation. I can imagine it's so claustrophobic and small to where that the guys had to put their big backpacks on the outside of the vehicles instead of just shoving them inside, which is a luxury that they can't afford because hey, limited space, you know. So
Right.
if your favorite notebook or whatever, or if you're somebody who likes to draw like I do, you got a notebook of drawings in there, and it gets shot, well then tough shit. Sorry.
Yes, but back to the beginning, the first half. I think how boring it is actually a strength rather than a flaw because most of the time the soldiers over there weren't being shot at. They weren't being all action heroes. Most of the time they were just kind of standing there doing kind of very repetitive tasks and what have you. And I imagine
Suffering the
fighting back
elements.
boredom was probably one of the toughest parts of the job. Well, it is just how boring it could be a lot of the time.
Yeah. Wasn't that something that Jarhead also did as well?
Yeah, I didn't really like Jarhead though. That movie annoyed me.
Yeah, I never watch it myself, and I heard that it's pretty
It's
much an
bad. Don't watch it.
anti, and
It's shit.
I pretty much heard that it's a military hating movie, anyways, in the same
Oh
way
yeah.
of Full Metal
Oh
Jacket.
yeah.
So okay, And for some reason, for the longest time, I had the impression that maybe that was a movie that was also taking place back in the Vietnam War. But I guess it was actually an Iraq War movie, and it was also anti-military. Whereas the thing that I definitely love about this movie, Warfare, is that it's pretty much a love letter to American troops. And it's just American troops specifically. It's not a love letter to the Iraq war itself to say that, oh, that war was justified or something or other. It was more like a personal story of these guys who are just pretty much regular guys. They're like somebody's sons and somebody's possibly like nephew or even uncle in some cases. And they just wanted to get out of this hellish situation and get alive, and that's all that they wanted to show. They weren't like,
yeah, that's what I really liked about it, the fact that it's completely divorced from the politics of the Iraq War itself. The movie has nothing to say about whether the Iraq War was good, whether it was right to fight it or not. The movie doesn't care about about that. It pretty much it feels very politically neutral, though. I, among many others, probably think that the Iraq War wasn't worth all we put into it. I mean, a lot of, and I think that's the prevailing opinion nowadays. But regardless of how you feel about it, the movie still works.
And did not show that any of the troops being assholes nor super lovey-dovey with any of the locals. I mean, they were kind of neutral. Like, they did not want, like, they end up infiltrating this one house and occupying it as they like keep a spot on the enemy. I guess was part of the mission, was that they were trying to keep an eye on the some of the local militants so as to keep the area clear for some other group of U.S. troops. Unfortunately, that goes tits up because they get spotted out by those said militants, and then a firefight ensues. But in the occupation of this house that they pretty much garrison inside for the sake of spotting, they have to make sure that these civilians that they don't shout at the top of their lungs, they don't do anything to give away their position, and they're not complete dicks to them, but at the same time, they're not all lovey-dovey like Superman would be to somebody that he's trying to save, or some other like MCU Marvel superhero.
Right, there's tension between them, but at the same time, there's no real hatred between either party. The people in that, obviously, like the family, are obviously not happy to have these guys in their house. I mean, who would be? Come on,
yeah.
But and the people there are kind of understanding. Occupying it, or kind of understand the situation, but at the same time, they're like, sorry, this is our job. It has to be done.
I am kind of curious as to who the two Arab soldiers were that with them. Were those like Jordanians or Kuwaitis, or what were they?
They probably were within like the new Iraqi government that America was establishing at the time. There were a lot of like Iraqis on our side against various fighters that came in. And one thing that they weren't broadcasting on is a lot of the fighters who fought American troops in Iraq were not Iraqis. A lot of them were Iranians, Syrians, Saudis, a whole bunch. Basically, America-hating Muslims in the Middle East from all the nearby countries. A lot of them like traveled into Iraq to fight Americans.
Yeah, I just had no real idea of how quickly they were able to set up the new Iraqi government after the toppling of Saddam's regime. So I don't know, it's kind of surprising to me, but I guess it's possible. They had actual sophisticated Iraqi soldiers with them.
Well, this is a few years after Saddam's regime was toppled. I think was Saddam already dead by then? I think he was already hanged by the time this movie is set.
2004, 2003. I mean, the movie.
Well, this is set in 2006. This movie.
Right. So I guess
November of 2006. Let me look that up. I think Saddam Hussein was executed earlier that year.
Or earlier that same year.
I believe so. My memory. No, I'm wrong. He was executed that year, but it was after this movie is set. He was executed on the 30th of December that year. So a few weeks after this movie is set, he was executed.
Oh, well, then that is a very quick transition. Or maybe there was just some people within the ranks of Saddam's military that were just so willing to turn coat against him. And so they were like, hey, the Americans are here. Let's, I guess they're our opportunity to turn coat against Saddam. Let's join them.
Yeah. Yeah, and he was put in. Keep in mind, Saddam Hussein was a brutal, brutal dictator. When you're a brutal dictator, you make a lot of enemies in your country. Huge sections of his population wanted him dead. So when the Americans came, a lot of them were very happy to see him go. Even if they didn't really particularly care for Americans either, they didn't like Saddam Hussein.
I have to looking further into the history of Saddam's regime. I know that he was like the main bad guy in the first Gulf War, but one thing that I gotta ask actually is because I keep on hearing about how that general area, what is now Iraq, was where that Babylon and the Akkadian Empire, the Sumerians, were where that they were mainly at. How much you want to bet that freaking Saddam was trying to put himself and build himself up to be the next Nebuchadnezzar or something?
Yeah, he had kind of delusions of grandeur. He kind of overstepped his bounds. That's why he got in trouble with a whole bunch of other countries around the world. But in the 80s, he actually was considered a positive force when he first took power by America because he was an enemy of the regime of Iran. And there was kind of a conflict between Iran and Iraq that goes on. And while neither side really won that conflict, it was pretty much just a shit show that no one won. Saddam Hussein declared himself the winner of the war.
All these little mad dictators.
That's kind of how that region works. That's been the way of the world throughout most of its history.
Hi, Reckless Trucker in the chat. He says, getting ready for a date with a Mexican, might go watch Warfare. Take her with you, Trucker.
Yeah, hearing guys scream in agony, that definitely gets every woman horny.
Wow, yeah. I was actually in the theater, and it was kind of a bit of a small showing. I hope this movie makes back its money so that we can see more movies like this. But there was actually a couple that was a little ways down the road from me, and it was like some dude and what looked like his girlfriend with him.
Yeah, it hasn't done terribly well at the box office, but it was made for only $20 million, so it probably will eventually be able to turn a profit. It wasn't really a big budget flick.
I guess Will Poulter decided to work for cheap for this movie because he actually liked the idea of the project. Which, by the way, might I emphasize, this is probably my favorite role of Will Poulter. Will Poulter is the guy who played as Eustace from the Voyage of the Dawn Treader movie, right?
Narnia. Yeah, that was 15 years ago. He was just a kid at the time. Now he's
right. Not. And honestly, I'm going to be honest, I really hated him in that role because he was just so stiff. And then I saw him in Maze Runner. He was like far better. And then he gives a cheesy performance as Adam Warlock in Guardians Volume 3, which is still not as bad as Eustace, but still kind of nah. And now he comes in this role as a kind of the de facto protagonist of this movie. And he isn't like some grand what I'm trying to say, guns blazing hero, kind of like in the same way of Rambo or something like that. He's like more of a normal soldier that has to take charge. And then unfortunately there is one point of in this movie of where that he kind of breaks down a little bit, and he tells the other guy who is part of the reinforcements group that comes in to help out his squad after the firefight kind of started, and he's all like, I can't do this anymore, I'm fucked up. And that he tells him
I assume he was dealing with shell shock, basically, where like being close enough to the explosion kind of just like made him like dizzy and disorientated, so he wasn't in any condition to fight. That's what it seemed like to me. That can happen if you're too close to an explosion.
But definitely my favorite role of his so far.
Yeah, definitely. It's interesting that Alex Garland was a co-director of this movie, because last year he directed another war movie about a fictional a civil war in the United States, and that one was an interesting movie, but in order to try to stay quote unquote politically neutral, we're put in the middle of this fictional war, but we're never really told how the hell it started or what the hell is going on. So
Yeah.
and it's almost treated like it's irrelevant. But it had the same really good war cinematography that made Warfare so good. Whereas it feels really disturbing and intense and really graphic, and it really made you feel like you were in the middle of this war. And that's what made Civil War a very interesting movie, despite it kind of being a little confusing what the hell is going on most of the time.
So Civil War was good in the action and battle sequences, but it was kind of shitty in the world building and story writing.
Well, it kind of had to be, because if it really gotten into any specifics of the politics, either side of the political aisle might be offended by the movie, and they wanted the movie to be enjoyable for both Democrats and Republicans. So because of that, like, it's the main government of the United States is fighting against the Western Alliance of California and Texas. I'm not even kidding.
Yeah. Yeah, I got hearing about that. No balls. I mean, if a director had balls, it could have like set up this movie like it's a civil war between the far left kind of commie Democrats or people of the Democrat Party in general versus far right MAGA, almost like Groyper Republicans. And then the movie is centered around this more centrist kind of guy who's from like Colorado and from rural Colorado, more specifically, not urban Colorado, where he would be like some,
for example,
hippie.
Right. We get, for example, it mentions the Antifa massacre having happened before the war started. But were Antifa the ones doing the massacre, or were they the ones being massacred? We don't know. It doesn't tell us.
Well, at least they had balls to mention Antifa, though, I guess.
They do mention Antifa, but it's unclear about what role they had in any of this shit. But actually, the movie was really good. There are some scenes in it that were just really intense. And it's the same actor who played Todd in Breaking Bad. And what can you say about that actor? I forgot his name, but he plays a really goddamn good psychopath, because he's played really, really horrific characters in a few projects, and every time he's been really good.
Not Aaron Paul.
No, not Aaron Paul. No, the guy who played Todd.
I've never seen Breaking Bad. Sorry, I did not know who Aaron Paul played as in that movie.
Yeah, you remember Todd? That at the end of he appears in the final season. He was a very stone cold character.
Okay.
Like I said, I never seen really bad.
And the biggest reason why I know the name Aaron Paul is because I've listened and / watched your review of Exodus, Gods and Kings so many times before that you make a mention of the name Aaron Paul, and then you play a clip from Breaking Bad of him being like, "Oh, Heil Hitler, bitch!"
Yes. Because that clip is funny. Oh, Heil Hitler, bitch, yes.
Do edited reviews again, loudmouth. Do it. I'm just busting your balls, but yeah, Warfare, good movie. What more can we say about it? It's intense. The sound effect is very good of it. I like of how that the multiple parts, the jets that come in flying low, and it just kicks up all the dust like in a big, massive sandstorm. I like that effect, and I think that would be something that would realistically happen. Although I am kind of, I guess one thing that is kind of a continuity error is that the airplane like picks up all the dust in the streets, but the next shot of each appropriate time that the plane would do it, the next shot would be us going back to the soldiers. And we do not see them getting absolutely smoked out with a whole bunch of sand and dirt. It's like as if
because they're in the building.
Well, yeah, they were inside the building, but they did not completely shut the doors or something. I think it would just...
I like at the end of the movie the fact that there's scenes with the actors partying with the real guys who this happened to. With the real Iraq War veteran. I noticed some of the pictures were blurred out, and I'm guessing maybe some of them just didn't want their picture in this movie for some reason. I wonder why.
Who knows? I do like that little addition of when they shown clips of on set, because otherwise, if they just ended it with the soldiers rolling away and the Bradleys, and then all the Iraqi citizens and militants, I guess was who they were actually showing coming out of the buildings, it would have felt extra anticlimactic. Like, have you ever seen The Wall? By the way,
The Wall. I don't think so.
it's a movie with John Cena in it. Like, it has only 3 characters in it. It has one main guy who's a sniper of some kind, John Cena, and then the faceless Arab sniper guy who is a pretender. It's like a very psychological thriller, I guess you could say. It's a psychological thriller military flick, and it's very small in scale, smaller in scale than this movie, even for that matter. And it's almost kind of mean-spirited, actually. My brother-in-law really doesn't like it, although I kind of like it for some of the execution of the scenes and whatnot, even though that movie is kind of more on the anti-military side as opposed to this movie, Warfare. That movie, though, The Wall, it ended pretty freaking anticlimactically. Like, final battle happens, and then it just cuts away to credits, no notes. Whereas this one, at least it cuts to after the battle is fully done, cuts to the on set behind the scenes shenanigans, and then gives the credits. Felt a little bit more.
I haven't seen The Wall, so I don't know. I can't really comment.
It's not that worth it, but if you happen to come across it in the bargain bin, then it might be worth one watch at least.
But I'm wondering what kind of war movies we're going to get about the war in Ukraine over in the next few years.
That'll be interesting.
I'm not looking forward to the ones Russia makes. I imagine how they'll portray Russian soldiers as heroes, liberating Ukrainians as like a bunch of Nazis or some shit.
Right. Liberating native Ukrainians who love Russia and so forth.
Yeah. So I don't imagine that would be good. I watched this one very kind of movie with clips on it on like the first weeks of the war in when Russia launched a siege warfare on Kyiv, and kind of like hanging with all the civilians who were like down in bomb shelters.
Sorry, what thing where they show people hanging out in Kyiv in bomb shelters?
Yeah, civilians.
This was
they also like spend time at hospitals dealing with a bunch of injuries and war dead and all kinds of things.
This is a documentary?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Thanks to smartphones, we have more videos of the war in Ukraine starting than we've ever had for any historical conflict.
Right. So, do we have anything more to say, or do we want to talk about other movies?
We can talk about other movies.
Okay. So, some movies that I've seen recently has been new to me, anyways, and for the first time is The Princess and the Frog, Ron's Gone Wrong, and the Minecraft movie. Maybe we can trash on the Minecraft movie first.
I guess we'll trash on the Minecraft movie a little bit. It sucked. And it might make close to $1 billion, and that's very sad.
Yeah, although this is its third weekend, and throughout the week I've been looking at the box office numbers per according to Wikipedia, and it was just floating around 550 million. And now that we're past the third Friday of it being out, it hasn't gotten much higher than that. So it might not quite make $1 billion. It might make maybe 700 million, which isn't as big of a profit as
it probably will make over 800 million. And it's not good. It wasn't like the worst movie I've ever seen. It was kind of amusing at times, but I just don't think Minecraft as a franchise or as a video game really has enough substance in it to make a movie. I guess if you're going to make a movie based on Minecraft, I really can't really imagine being too much better than this.
theoretically you could like incorporate Notch. Maybe you could make the main villain an Enderman who is like actually freaking competent. That's probably the thing that frustrates me the most watching this movie. Have you ever played the Minecraft games, Loudmouth?
No, I've never played them, so I don't know. I don't know shit about them.
Well, I
Definitely
have.
don't have any desire to after watching this movie.
Fair enough. But I have played Minecraft off and on for the last few years. And when I first played it and first ran across Enderman, those things are actually freaking scary. And even now, whenever I try to fight Enderman in the Minecraft game, they're like really calculating. Whereas in this scene, it just portrays that Enderman just keeps on teleporting like a few feet in front of the main kid character. And he's just repeatedly swinging his axe forward so that
Yeah, that was the lamest part right there. The thing actually was kind of creepy, that thing. And I'm like, ooh, is this movie finally going to get dark and intense? But then he just starts swinging at it and it goes away. Like, that's it? You couldn't think of anything better?
Yeah, but here's the thing. In the actual game, the Enderman could like teleport any direction from where you're at. Side to side, behind you, a distance, very close up. And maybe sometimes it'll like teleport in front of you, but that's kind of on the rarer side. It will more times than not like teleport behind you or side to side from you and just surprise attack you from that angle. But in front of you, no. Either these people just absolutely did not give a flying fuck, or they never played the Minecraft game, or they could not get the child actor, which I guess, to be fair, it is a child actor, so you have to be somewhat nice to them, but they could not get the kid character to do some actual decent choreography, so they were like, okay, kid, just swing your axe forward, we'll record it, and we'll work around it. And that's what they did. But, I mean, so excuses can be made for the defense of the kid. He's just a kid, but that still doesn't excuse the fact that this one little scene was actually low quality and lame regardless. Sorry, not sorry. Don't harass the kid, but it was still lame.
Yeah, it was. I mean, I guess the bromance between Jack Black and Jason Momoa was kind of funny. So I mean, and the effects work was pretty good, even if the world is kind of intentionally weird looking. Generally the computer animation was all pretty well done.
Yeah, I feel the same way with this movie as I do with the special effects for all the orc characters in the Warcraft movie from 2016. Like, they did not look particularly realistic in the same way that Thanos in 2019 Avengers Endgame or 2018 Avengers Infinity War, but they worked for the purpose of the movie. I mean, it was a video game movie, so it was going to kind of imitate the colorful, cheesy-looking graphics of their appropriate game.
I mean, but Avengers Endgame and Infinity War like twice the budget of the Warcraft movie, so it's not surprising.
Fair, but still. So yeah, the environment design and the special effects for what they were worth, and aside from the Enderman scene, like that scene still sucks. The rest of the action scenes were kind of fun to watch. Especially, I really like the flying chase scene of where that the pigmen, they were on platforms hung by the gas. That scene was kind of fun, and the iron golems charging against the pigmen as well. But aside from that, the movie was just outright bad. Like, there was not one single character that I liked in this movie overall. Like, Jennifer Coolidge, the one lady who is pretty much the spokesperson for Discover Card, she just plays up her usual wino boomer grandma personality self in this movie, and they have a running gag of where she's dating a villager, and that joke got pretty freaking old pretty fast, and they just kept on.
That joke. And it not only did it get old, it was just kind of little perverted. Like, is she like dating this ugly looking thing? What the fuck? I'm sure she could. I'm sorry. I think she could do better than this thing. Like, why would you? Who looks at that hideous monstrosity and be like, "Yeah, I want to fuck that, man."
Yeah, I mean, as much as I'm like knocking on Jennifer Coolidge's personality, I guess for somebody who's in their 50s, 60s, whatever, she doesn't look too bad. But
not at all for her age.
Regardless,
good looking woman for her age. I mean, she's 63. Yeah, for her age, she's a good looking woman.
All right, fair point. But still, they kept on cutting back to that like 3 or 4 times when they could have like cut those parts out of the movie completely. Oh, and they would have devoted time to actually developing our main characters, which that being Jack Black, Jason Momoa, and the one main young kid, which that was kind of weird. This movie wanted to have 3 protagonists. It shoved in 3 protagonists, all or 3 characters, all to try and be in the same protagonist position, and it just turned out to be a freaking mess with the way that it was executed. First, they had like this one long, monotonous, almost exposition dump introduction with Jack Black's character, which I know that his character's name is actually Steve, but come on, Jack Black is not Steve. Find better casting for the part of Steve. But Jack Black, they give him his introduction, and it was just it just felt way too long. And not to mention, it just, somebody else, a movie reviewer that I listened to about this movie, it just really sucks out all the mystery of the Minecraft movie. Like, it would have been a whole lot better if it introduced our kid characters. Maybe it gave just a little bit of the tiniest peek into the Minecraft world at the very beginning, but they did not actually show the fullness of the Minecraft world until the main characters actually go through the teleporter and into the Minecraft world. But no, apparently they show it just front and center within the first 5 minutes, and that just completely knocks out all sense of mystery and awe in this world. And then they have the Jason Momoa character, whose name is Garrett, and for some reason, Jack Black keeps on nicknaming him Gar multiple times, and it's all like, am I watching a baby movie? Why are you talking to him like if he was like a little 2-year-old or something? He's a grown freaking man. Unless you're like trying to disparage him.
You were. That's the real thing. We were watching a baby movie with that movie. That's the reality. It's a movie that's basically like jingling keys in front of a baby, kind of.
Pretty much.
And that's the movie.
And Jason Momoa, so the consistent thing that I kept on hearing from movie reviewers is that supposedly Jason Momoa was not as bad as the trailers were making him out to be, which I was like, okay, maybe I am more intrigued to watch this movie, because looking at the trailers, I am more used to the kind of macho dude bro personality that Jason Momoa plays, be it as Duncan Idaho or Aquaman or Ronan from Stargate Atlantis. But in this movie, it just looked like a demasculated version of himself. And watching the movie, he had like a few badass moments of where that he was kicking pigment ass and a couple of funny moments, I guess. But that was all heavily outweighed by how insufferably assholish and obnoxious that he was, and just overall did not like the character. He did not save the movie for me at all. And of course, Jack Black was just being himself, which can be funny, but sometimes overplayed. Like, it seems like for every one joke that got a chuckle out of me, there was one joke that got a face palm out of me, or attempt at a joke, I should say, rather. And then the 2 kid characters, they were both boring blank slates. And the one black woman character, I'm going to be quite honest, by the aesthetic and everything that they were giving with her, I thought she was going to be played up as the stereotypical sassy black woman kind of character. But no, she was not that stereotypical archetype. And I liked that, at least. And I liked of how that she was being the straight woman to both Jack Black and Jason Momoa's eccentric weirdness. I like those parts from her. But aside from that, she was pretty boring and forgettable as well. And the villain, despite being kind of serviceable for being an occurring antagonist against our characters, was still a pretty forgettable villain as well.
I also found the gag at the end where she constantly keeps pulling out the knife a little bit funny, because it kind of felt that cliche where like the hero gives the villain too many chances, and then the villain just backstabs them again. Where here they kind of play up that, but she keeps pulling out the knife. Oh, really? Again, you're just the worst. Oh, again, you're just the worst. That actually I thought was a little bit funny.
Okay, fair point. I guess that was kind of funny. Even though it wasn't like I was like busting a gut in my theater seat.
No, it wasn't that.
But it was kind of, it felt like a nice little stab at how Thor kept on being sympathetic to Loki in the first Avengers movie, and Loki would
absolutely. So overall, I did not like it, but it's pretty much just generic Hollywood slop. But at the very least, it wasn't like it wasn't woke. There's no wokeness in it. There's no like pushing any weird creepy gender politics or anything in the
Mhm.
movie. It's pretty much just a dumb, brainless, by the numbers Hollywood movie.
Which I guess
That's all it was, and that's all it tries to be.
Which I guess for that reason, on top of the action scenes, I guess I would rank it at rate it a 3 out of 10 instead of a 2 out of 10. I was kind of debating to myself
I
on what
give it a
I would
solid
rate it.
4 out of 10.
Solid 4. Okay, maybe I just
Yeah,
feel a little bit more. Maybe I just personally
because
feel a
I
little
am happy that it beat the crap out of Snow White at the box office.
fair enough.
Got,
Get the message through to Disney finally. I mean, unless if
uh,
Lilo and Stitch does exceptional at the box office, then they will not quite have learned their lesson.
Yeah, it might, because Lilo and Stitch remake looks closer to the original movie than Snow White did. That's for sure.
Of
It
course.
looks more like it looks more like a clone of the original movie, which is unnecessary, but it doesn't feel antagonistic towards it. Whereas the main
Yeah.
reason Snow White flopped is he was outright antagonistic towards the original movie he was making, which is just a bizarre marketing strategy. And them casting an entitled little narcissist who couldn't keep her big mouth shut.
Yeah. I do have one last thing to say about Minecraft, and I'll get back onto Lilo and Stitch. I guess the reason why I rank it a little bit lower than you is because I feel personally insulted as a Minecraft player with how much of a bitch they made the Enderman to be in that movie. But on Lilo and Stitch, have you heard any word if they're like getting Kevin Michael Richardson back in his role as Gantu?
I'm actually not sure.
Because I haven't seen any snippets of his character. I haven't seen any his name in the list of casting. So if they don't have Kevin Michael Richardson back as Gantu, then I'm definitely giving this movie a pass. If they at least get him back, then maybe I will consider a possibility. If I see in the trailer, though, some Michael Bay-esque type of action scene of where that Gantu and Stitch are throwing cars at each other and stuff like that, then I will be more intrigued to maybe watch it in theaters. But aside from that, no, probably give it a hard pass.
My dog found the chainsaw.
Oh, is that a line from Lilo and Stitch?
Yeah, it's like my favorite line in the movie. She says on the
Okay.
phone, "Aliens are attacking my house. They're after my dog." "Oh, you don't need to worry. Everything's good. My dog found the chainsaw."
It's been a little bit too long since I've watched Lilo and Stitch. Apparently, I am a little bit annoyed personally about the casting for Cobra Bubbles in this movie. Though he just doesn't seem built enough and seems a tad too old for the role. I don't know. What do you feel?
Yeah, but we'll see. I'm not really looking forward to that, but at the same time, I'm not rooting for it to fail either. I really could kind of care less. Whereas with Snow White, I was rooting for it to fail. It would have been a national tragedy if somehow we were able to turn a profit. But thankfully, that ain't gonna happen.
Fair enough. Lilo and Stitch 2025 film.
Mostly, that movie is a microcosm of everything that's wrong with modern Hollywood. Pointless race swappings, check. Pointless remake, check. And disrespectful to its source material, check. Over bloated, check. Full of crap CGI, check. It's like every bad Hollywood trope was just kind of jammed into it.
Yeah, although to be fair about Lilo and Stitch, there was the ragging hate campaign that was put on the original actress for Nani because she wasn't quite dark skinned enough for the role.
Those people doing so are complete psychos. The actress they got is a native Hawaiian, who just like their actress in the cartoon. Some people are they're the complete toxic psychos.
Yeah, even though she was still of Pacific Island heritage, no, it was just because she was like a tone too light.
It shows what hypocrites they are. I mean, they'll mock people who complain about race swappings, like what was done with the Little Mermaid, but then they'll have a freak out over a Pacific Islander character who's the right race, but is a tone lighter than you want, which is absolutely nuts.
Yeah. So Courtney B. Vance is the name of the actor for Cobra Bubbles, and yeah, he doesn't quite look like muscle jawed enough for the role of Cobra Bubbles. Honestly, as old as this guy is, I would almost think that even Lawrence Fishburne would make a better Cobra Bubbles than this Courtney B. Vance guy.
He would have liked if this were made 20 years ago, but he's kind of old for the part.
Yeah, yeah. I'm looking at all kinds of pictures. Yeah, just too skinny. Sorry. Which is
Yeah,
funny. I actually saw some reel on it was Instagram or Facebook. I don't care. Somebody it was some introduction to Teen Titans, like some. I don't know if it was an actual new series or if it's just some parody of Teen Titans Go, but they portrayed Cyborg as skinny in that little clip, and I was like, what the fuck is a skinny cyborg doing in my Teen Titans? That is sacrilege right there. He's supposed to be built like a football player, at least. That's the backstory of Cyborg.
Yeah, he was a football player before he got fucked up, and then his dad made him a cyborg. Yeah.
Oh, Reckless Tucker in the live chat. The villagers, referring to the villagers in Minecraft, are Jews, by the way. She needed accounting advice. Thanks for the dank jokes there. No joke, they're based on ancient Semite tribes. Interesting. I didn't think that. I mean, I thought that was kind of coincidence, them having big noses and everything. I didn't realize that that was like intentional, but I don't know. I never really cared enough to research that kind of stuff. I just played a fun little creation game. Was a creation / adventure game. But anyway, I guess to talk about a more smart movie than that of the Minecraft movie. Have you ever seen Ron's Gone Wrong?
No.
Oh shit. Well, it was a movie that was made by Fox Studios, 20th Century Fox. Was 2021? When is it that Disney bought Fox?
They bought them in 2017, but it wasn't finalized till like the end of 2019.
Okay, so this was okay. I kept on misinforming people then because I kept on saying that this is before the Fox merger or before they bought Fox, but apparently I was.
Well, they might have made it before they bought Fox, and it was released by Disney after. That happened to a lot of folks.
Okay, well, 2021 was when it was released, and it's a very interesting movie. How I would personally rate it is 8 out of 10. Like, I think the biggest thing that would annoy you about it, Loudmouth, is the way that it handles the whole issue of AI and robots. So, if I was to try and explain the movie, the main character of it is Barney Podowski, and he's a bit of a loner. He's struggling to have any kind of a social life, and part of it, as supposedly, anyways, is because he does not have a bubble bot. Like these robots, they almost look like they're shaped like minions, except they're not as aggravating or annoying as minions. But everybody has these bubble bots, which not only do they are they just robots, but they also double as glorified smart pads. They are like a multi-purpose device. And they're also a social media helper as well. Like these robots will go out of their way to take pictures, take videos of you, and post them on the internet. Maybe there's a possibility that there's some setting for you to turn them off in universe setting with these robots, but that's not how that they're typically used anyways. People just have them on default, on automatic to just take pictures and share their social life out in the world. But these robots are also meant to try and help you build more of a social life, to find friends that have similar likenesses to you, kind of in the same way as social media. And Barney keeps on going on thinking that, it's because I don't have a bubble bot why I don't have much of a social life. And by the end of the movie, the bubble bots, they're not gotten rid of or anything like that. In fact, if anything, they become more independent than from what their original programming is. And I guess it's supposed to leave it open-ended on the scary implications of this, but I'm still like a little bit annoyed of how they did not lean into the dangers of AI and robots. Like, you know,
One movie that does I recommend. There's one called Companion recently, and it essentially takes on the idea of robot partners, fuckbots, and it kind of takes a very it is kind of mean spirited in the fact that it has a very negative view of men who would use such technology, whereas others like Blade Runner 2049 have a very sympathetic view of men who would use such technology.
right.
Or not, no, not this one. It's pretty much it portrays them as pretty loathsome. Then again, I guess it's just one character who's loathsome. That doesn't mean every guy who uses this technology is like this dude.
Yeah. Um, but one thing that I think you would appreciate the movie more for is of how that it displays of how that social media would rot people's brain away. Like some of the side characters, they are just endlessly scrolling on in their social media, desperately trying to get some kind of validation from people over the internet, which honestly is probably a little bit of a message that I should take a little bit more to heart than I actually am. But still, the fact that they show that the side characters being lonely, and how it's kind of dangerous for Barney even to want this sort of device, that being the bubble bot, so that he can connect up to the social media and whatnot. Because honestly, that ain't the best way to gain friends, is over internet and so forth. Although I do have to say that one thing that is kind of implied by the first half of the movie, at least, is that yeah, there's internet brain rot, and it's best to get friends from in-personal real life interactions. But at the same time, if the people in your real life truly do suck, then maybe there's a little bit of a necessity for social media so that you can connect with people from afar. I mean, I guess back in ye olden days, you had pen pals that you could that you could get their mailing address and just write back and forth letters. But that's kind of tedious and kind of slow anyways. But anyway, so it's a bit of a double-edged sword, the way that they portrayed social media in some points in the first half. But by about the middle point of where that these kids, they're able to switch off some settings with their bubble bots, like switch off some of the safety controls, they become really dangerous of how that the kids are able to look at explicit content, or at least that's one of the brief lines anyways. They don't go showing any actual R-rated or even PG-13 rated imagery of grown women in bikinis or anything like that. But that's kind of a brief mention, is the kids able to watch R-rated movies on their bubble bots whenever they want to. But on top of that, also, the robots are able to formulate these monstrous monstrosities. Like, there seems to be like some game function with the bubble bots. I'm not explaining it too well, but there is some game function to them of where that they're almost like Pokemon. Like if you're playing Pokemon Go or something with real life people, but you're syncing up your mobile device with their mobile device so that you can fight each other. These bubble bots kind of function that way. And sometimes the bubble bots will like merge with each other to make a bigger bubble bot. But because they turned off the safeties, there's like hundreds of bubble bots merging together to create this giant, like 10-foot tall monkey almost that just wreaks havoc on the playground. And
they don't need to describe this whole movie, man.
Yeah, sorry. I mean, it's a good movie. Some good side characters all around. I particularly like the one jovial grandma of Barney Podolsky, where she's implied to be like heavily anti-communist, like when she used to be. I can't remember if it's Bulgaria or some Eastern European country that used to have been under the reign of USSR. There's even one brief shot of where that the 6th birthday of Barney, they have a picture of what could be almost implied to be Stalin, and they're just playing darts with that picture of Stalin. Like just throwing knives at the picture of Stalin as a bit of a party game. A little bit encouraged by Grandma Podolsky.
Is there anything coming in the summer you're looking forward to?
Sorry?
You looking forward to any of the movies coming out in the summer? Superman, Jurassic Park Rebirth, or Fantastic Four at all?
As time goes on, not really. Definitely not Jurassic World. Maybe I would have been intrigued by Fantastic Four. Maybe I'll see it just because I've seen the past.
Yeah, I
Fantastic
don't
Four
like that they
movies.
gender bent the Silver Surfer. I'm honestly kind of annoyed with this movie just from that.
I'm not gonna lie. I'm not going to knock it completely, but I am a little bit turned off that they have an overly jovial version of Ben Grimm. Because maybe I'm just too used to the Michael Chiklis version of the Thing, of where that he's some guy that's going through an identity crisis because he's the one who's most altered of the four and lost
Yeah,
his.
I think that I think will be fine. I actually like the character's look and design in this one, uh, and it being set in the '60s also could be really cool.
Wait, is that really the thing? This movie is set place in the '60s?
Yeah, it's set in the '60s.
Okay. I knew that it was like taking a whole lot of aesthetics from 60s envisionments of the future, but I didn't know that it was actually taking place in the 60s.
It is.
Um,
Yeah,
maybe Superman. That's the one movie that I'm most likely to see
yeah, me
into.
too.
On top of Elio, Elio and Superman, probably the only two movies that I care to go on my way for the
Yeah, I think the new
summer.
Superman looks pretty cool. Actually,
Um, I
it
do
it,
say
it
that.
looks like it's more jovial. I like that it's not rehashing Superman's origin. Supposedly, Superman's already established. Like Lois and Clark have already met each other. Lex Luthor and Superman have already met each other before the beginning of the movie, and it's
Fair.
just kind of going through various aspects. It seems to be basing a lot of things on All Star Superman. Like you got the robots that worked in his lair. That was something from that's kind of a weird thing in the comics.
Um, I just gotta say, I am a little bit concerned that this movie will overstuff itself in a similar way as Spider-Man 3 or the Amazing Spider-Man 2. Um, and I
Possibly
am
that's possible. That's a legitimate concern.
and I'm also a little bit concerned about the tone of the movie. Like when I watched the Minecraft movie with my two littlest siblings, there was a teaser that played of Superman, and it was of Crypto, the dog, just jumping on Superman just straight away, and I was like, "What? What?"
That is what dog. Yeah. Do you have a
Even if
dog?
you're
That's how
injured,
dogs act.
even if you're injured, severely injured
Yeah.
like that.
Yeah. My mom had kind of a nasty fall like a couple weeks ago. She kind of fell down the stairs and had to go to the hospital. When I helped her back inside the house, guess who was there trying to jump on her?
Oh, really? I don't know. Maybe it's
My little Cora, my 60-pound enormous Cora was happy to see her, and thus tried to jump on her, not realizing that would hurt her. So I had to kind of push Cora down, like, no, no.
maybe it could have possibly worked, but I find it like you decided to use this little aspect of your movie as part of the promotion of your Superman movie, making Superman look like a bitch as he's just getting pounced on by his dog repeatedly and tediously, might I say?
Well, I think they're trying to market it to dog owners.
Trying to what?
Market it to dog owners.
Oh, okay. I guess maybe it just
Yeah.
felt like the one of the weakest way to promote the movie. But what weirded me out even more was of when that we got into the Superman's lair with the four robots, and he says thank you to one of the robots, and in one of the most clunky ways possible. The one British butler robot is all like, "No need to thank me. I'm a feelingless automaton," or whatever he exactly says. "I have no feelings to care for your thank you." And then they almost contradict that the next second with the number 12 bot giggling, being like, "He looked at me." It's like, are you feeling or not? Like it seems that you two robots
I
are
think that was meant
contradicting
as
each
kind
other.
of a joke.
It did not land. If so, it was just very.
Well, well, that was one thing Snyder did a terrible job on. The thing is, some comic relief really does benefit superheroes, and Man of Steel has almost none.
Yeah, I mean, I get that James Gunn is trying to go for a more lighthearted approach, but this seems almost too lighthearted, and not even lighthearted in a way that I typically like of James Gunn. Like Suicide Squad 2021 was fun; it had its funny moments, but at the same time, it was well paced, well executed overall. The pacing and timing of the jokes and whatnot, it did not have anything clunky like that with the robots and Superman.
Have you seen there was a show, Creature Commandos, set in the same universe as the upcoming Superman movie. It's on HBO Max. Have you watched that?
It's out now, or it's gonna come
It's
out here
out
in a
now
few.
on HBO Max. It's an animated show.
Well, I don't have HBO Max for starters, so no.
Oh. Yeah, if you do get HBO Max, watch it because it's actually pretty good, and it gives me good hope for this. It's
Commandos.
pretty like it's a hard adult show, like with some real fucked up violence, but it also kind of has a good a good sense of humor to it. I actually really liked Creature Commandos.
Creature Commandos does look like a fun series, and if I did have HBO Max, I'd probably be binge watching that consistently. I just don't know if it's that strong enough of a hook for me to get HBO Max. On top of me keeping Hulu as well, and I'm keeping Disney Plus mostly so I can continue to marathon the Pixar movies, so I can develop my script for my Pixar movie ranking.
And I already own pretty much every Pixar movie out except for Inside Out 2 and Lightyear on Blu-ray or 4K Blu-ray.
Oh, you have Turning Red as well?
I do have Turning Red. I got it for like $10.
10. Oh, I thought you would have got it for cheaper
on
than
4K
that.
Blu-ray.
Okay.
Yeah. So.
Oh, okay. I guess.
Even though I'm not, it's definitely not my favorite Pixar movie or even close, but it has some interesting aspects.
Yeah. I've yet to give it my second ever rewatch in my marathon. I just recently finished Brave, and it's still kind of about as boring as I remember it. Boring and yeah, it's the second time in under a year's time.
You seen the Jurassic World Rebirth trailer? How they have like this weird mutant rancor dinosaur thing.
No, I've seen some pictures and concept art of that, I guess. But just Jurassic Park and Jurassic World just never really that super intrigued me. I've seen the two first Jurassic World movies in theaters, I guess, but it was mostly because I was watching it with friends and or family, and it was just something to do. But ever since one of my little brothers watched the first Jurassic Park on repeat, and I would like see him watching it on repeat, the whole Jurassic franchise just well, he'd even watched the third one on repeat as well. It just pretty much got old for me. The Jurassic franchise has.
Yeah, I mean, as long as they keep making money, though, Universal will keep pumping them out. This is part 7.
Yeah.
This it's got to be better than the last one. The last one had some serious pacing and writing problems. Mostly because the main plot of it all focused on these insects that biologically engineered insects that were like destroying people's crops. And then, even though there's a whole bunch of sequences involving action sequences with dinosaurs chasing people, you cut them out of the movie and the main plot would be almost completely unaffected.
Yeah.
So, which is seriously flawed writing. And they made idiotic retcons to the character of Henry Wu, which pissed me off.
All Stars was an acid trip, says Reckless Trucker. You talking about Looney Tunes or what are you talking about, Trucker?
All Stars.
I find it kind of weird because we haven't talked about. Well, I made a mention of the Looney Tunes movie a lot earlier, but
I don't think he's talking about All Stars, but sorry, about Looney Tunes. Yeah, but
go ahead.
Yeah, I just don't. But maybe this one will be better than the last one, but who the hell knows? I know.
Okay.
I mean, the BBC's got a Walking with Dinosaurs remake out like a few weeks before, and honestly, I'm looking forward to that more, even though the effects are a lot worse, obviously, because it's a TV program. That one gives you that for people who are nerdy like me and love scientifically accurate depictions of everything. Whereas the Jurassic World franchise definitely doesn't go for scientific accuracy first and foremost. Nor really should it because these are action movies. But yeah,
I guess to sorry, I've been thinking. I guess to try and sell the movie Ron's Gone Wrong to you a little bit better. I mean, sorry that I did it kind of clunky and sloppily and over long winded, but it is honestly a fun and funny movie that is very perfectly paced with of how much stuff that they incorporate into the movie with some fun characters. Not one that I can say is outright bad or annoying. Not that much, anyways. Plus, it tackles the issue of social media isolation and brain rot as well. So, and it kind of almost feels a little bit like a Pixar movie as well in some ways. It's definitely better than the worst half of Pixar's catalog. So I'd give it a.
yeah, I don't believe you, but I think we'll end this stream right now. All right, everyone. Thank you for joining us. Go see Warfare in theaters as we speak. It's a really good and gritty a war movie. If you can handle an intense movie, if you can't, probably best avoid it. But if you think you can handle it, go for it.
Yeah. If you like Hurt Locker, then go check this one out.
Yep. Later.
Bye bye.